Hello, greetings to everybody looking at this channel. Today I'm uploading a video about Vincent van Gogh again. It's now my second video about this artist. More precisely, it's going to be about identifying and getting identified and certified a genuine Vincent van Gogh artwork. Now imagine the situation: you would run into a painting or a drawing or something which you think could be connected to Vincent van Gogh and be a genuine item, which of course has a big value for those who want to study Vincent van Gogh and the museums and art collectors. So, I mean, here we are not making a joke today. You can see that drawing is just a sample, okay? You found this drawing in a book fair, in an old book, and you're sure it was not somebody trying to cheat somebody. You can never be sure, but let's say you have that paper in your hand. It's a drawing, it's old, it's written Vincent, and it looks like a child made this. You could think maybe it was Vincent as a child drawing this for his parents. Now, this is an example. What do you do next? Will you go to see some gallery, some art dealer? I think the chances to get cheated anyhow are very high, and the chances that it is not from Vincent van Gogh are even more high. But there is a way how to do it correctly without taking too much risk. You just need to address yourself to the Vincent van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. Now, if you have never done this, you will be like, hey, what to do now? And that's what this video is about. What to do now. Now, after you are more or less yourself at least somehow sure that it is worth all this work, because you are going to make work very competent people with your request, then you can take the decision to simply write a first letter to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. And I give you the address: Van Gogh Museum, Postbus /PO Box 75366 1070 AG Amsterdam. And I would still put Netherlands, okay? Because I don't know why they don't write that. Netherlands can also be just NL 1070 AG Amsterdam. That would be also the address. But anyhow, you have it written there, just at Amsterdam. Now, after you have written your little letter, what would you write in that letter? Well, basically, I'm this and this person. This is my address. I would like to request an appraisal of a piece of art which I think could be ascribed to Vincent van Gogh. You sign, and that's it, because they will reply to you for sure after some time. With that short sentence, you said everything what you have to say. You don't need to give more details, just write this, because what you need to get now is a letter from the Van Gogh Museum. And it's going to arrive in your mailbox, if the address is correct, which you gave them. And it's going to look like this. This kind of beautiful envelope will show up in your mailbox. You can see here it has the logo of the Van Gogh Museum, this beautiful yellow color, a little bit sunflower color design. You have here an example of that letter. It's from the Netherlands, and there's written priority. My goodness, your heart starts to beat. And the letter is a kind of square shape. You know, it's not that kind of slim letter, because they're going to actually put a contract inside. Now, the first thing is, what are they actually writing here? I have to make this a little bit larger to see. So, I read all, because this is also for people who don't read English. There will be already the name and your address on top. So give the correct address or the name of the person who owns the painting, because that's the person they're interested in. There will be the date when the letter was done. So you can see in this case it was 21st of January 2014. Your name and address will be written there where I wrote your name and address, because I deleted the name of the person who was having that letter for privacy purposes. And then you can see there is another number here. It's written EU/2435. And this is the very precise reference for you, for your application about this painting or drawing or whatever artwork, whatever it is, even if it's the hat of Vincent van Gogh you found in the attic, it's all going to have that kind of reference number so that they can identify your request, because the museum is getting all kind of requests. I heard even one per day and more. It's terrible. I mean, for them, because mostly they are doing this for just nothing, because they never find much after all these years. So there you have on the right side of the letterhead is the address of and the phone numbers of the Van Gogh Museum, which are something public. So it's not some very secret thing they send to you. You end up on a standard kind of reception call or whatever. But when you write to them, you should always use this address which I gave you at the beginning, Postbus P.O. Box. No need to write much more except the word Netherlands. Now, here we have still written subject, work of art. That's very generic because they have all kind of works of art to deal with. Dear Mr. or Mrs. or whatever, and there will be your name written, your family name. Thanking you for your letter of whatever date you wrote on the subject of the work of art referred to, we inform you that the Van Gogh Museum assesses works of art on their authenticity. Good news, that's what we thought. The appraisal is free of charge, though subject to some conditions. These conditions are laid down in this letter and in an agreement, which is a duplicate. You get two, okay? You have to sign 2 times. To be signed by both parties. You will find them enclosed with this letter. The appraisal will only be made when you have signed and returned both agreements. Please note that the agreements are to be signed by the owner of the work of art. So the owner, do you know who is the owner? That's the person who is legally and hopefully also physically in possession of the artwork, okay? So owner of art. It is the policy of the museum only to correspond with the owner. So don't please try to do this for somebody else or something you saw somewhere in a shop, you didn't even buy it and you just want somehow the museum to broker something for you for free. No, you need to be the owner because sooner or later they will anyhow, if the item is good, they will know everything about it. Don't worry, they are not going to be stupid, you know. So on receipt of both signed agreements, which are identical, I add here, one of them signed by us will be returned, I would say, to you. The owner's identity will not be revealed to third parties without your consent, thereto in writing. Now I need to turn that phone because I'm reading this text here. Okay, finally. It's very large on my phone. In the interest of the appraisal, we request you to enclose a photocopy of any documentation regarding provenance. So provenance is like, do you know anything about where it came from? Not just the flea market and the book, but even this you can mention because that's going to be part of the provenance. But maybe you will know, no, the book is actually from a Dutch guy who lived in this place and his grandmother, blah, blah, she was from Amsterdam. That's good to tell them. The owner's identity will not be revealed to third parties without your consent thereto in writing. In the interest of the appraisal, we request you to enclose a photocopy of any documentation regarding provenance, size, technique, okay, technique means it's a drawing. I think they should see that. And any written information, labels on the back concerning the relevant work of art. I think today you can make a photo of the back of the work of art and then print it out and put into your envelope. That will spare you a lot of explanations. Regardless of the result of the appraisal, the Van Gogh Museum will keep this material, including photographic material, for its research files without any expenses being refunded. Which means that what you put in the envelope to them is supposed to stay with them. They cannot handle shipping back stuff, even if the painting or the artwork is, of course, not from Van Gogh. They're gonna just say, we keep the stuff you sent to us. So please watch what you give to them before you decide to put anything in that envelope, okay? So there's still one sentence here coming. So it's about, they need a little bit to explain you more. It may not be possible to give a definite judgment on the work on the basis of the documentation material alone, which means with your photocopies, they may not be able to say, right, that's not the Van Gogh, we don't need to go further. They may think, well, that thing is maybe okay, we may need to do something else and we need something better than these photocopies. In that case, you will receive a written invitation to have the work transported to Amsterdam for inspection. My goodness. I tell you what, if ever you reach that level that you get the interest of the Van Gogh Museum to say, hey, can we maybe have a closer look at this one? You should already be very happy about it, because that's already only happening in very few cases. Most of the cases, they're gonna just say, sorry, thank you, it's not necessary even to send us anything further. We already saw this is not from Vincent van Gogh. Okay, I'm a little bit anticipating what will be happening in this appraisal. So to enable us to be of service to you as soon as possible, oh, that's good, we request you to sign and return the enclosed agreements, it means 2 of them, as soon as possible. I love this, as soon as possible. I remember when I was reading that, I said like, my God, these guys, they wrote this for me. They are really hot. They want that painting as fast as possible. I was thinking like that. In principle, you may receive the outcome of your opinion, of our opinion, of course, within 3 months from receipt of the signed agreements. So, and the documents, of course, showing something about the painting. If you have not returned the signed agreements within 3 months from the date of this letter, your request will be deemed to have been withdrawn. So no other formality. If you suddenly have no more time for this, or you don't want to know the truth about the item you have, or you suddenly discovered that on the back it's written Walt Disney or something like that, okay, then you may not bother them anymore, and you may not even have to write them, I'm sorry. Now, specifically, I will give you one story that happened to me. I was actually not receiving the first letter from the Van Gogh Museum. This kind of letter, what I'm just showing now, it was returned to them. There was something with the mail or something. I tell you what, they sent a message to me asking me why I did not pick up the letter. That made me feel very, very important. I must say that the Van Gogh Museum requesting me to confirm that they can send again the letter was a highlight of my art research activity till now. Anyhow, yours sincerely, Department of Collections, Research and Presentation. Now that's a good place to deal with. And enclosed now, we have these contracts. Now these contracts, you can see it's written agreement. I don't know, legally there's a difference between a contract and agreement. I don't know why, but there's in English there's some kind of small difference. We undersigned 1. The Van Gogh Museum established at Amsterdam for the purpose of this document represented by the director to be called hereinafter the Museum of the one part. And 2, so there you have to fill in 2 times, because there are 2 pages the same like this. 2 times you have to fill in Mr. John Doe, resident at Neverland, being the owner, to be called hereinafter the owner of a painting, pastel, lithograph, drawing, aquarelle. You can even write, I have the smoking pipe of Vincent van Gogh, you just write it. Dimensions, you can write inside too. No need to be hyper precise on the millimeter, but that we can identify this artwork. Dimensions, centimeters, so you can also put inches, to be called hereinafter the work of the other part, considering that the owner has requested the museum to pronounce a judgment on the authenticity of the work. That's all what you ask for. You want to know, is it a real one from Vincent van Gogh or not? That's all, not some value or how much can I sell it. That the museum has declared that it is prepared to pronounce a judgment on the authenticity of the work subject to the conditions laid down in this agreement and in the covering letter from the museum to the owner dated, here it's written December 2013, but whatever date will be. Agree upon the following. 1. Now it gets serious. We agree. The museum shall study the materials made available by the owner for the purpose of pronouncing a judgment to the owner on the authenticity of the work, to be called hereinafter the judgment. My God, judgment. When the appraisal required at the discretion of the museum has been completed, the museum shall notify the owner of the judgment in writing. Yeah, that's nice. Except for transport charges and insurance in case that the work is to be inspected, the appraisal shall be free of charge to the owner. Oh my goodness, transport charges and insurance is going to be your problem. I mean, you can stick it in your bag and clear customs and just bring it, as long as it's not recognized as a Vincent van Gogh. I would say it's just a normal piece of artwork which may not have any problems to reach the Netherlands. It depends on you. You have to check on this. And the ticket may be not expensive if you carry your small Van Gogh drawing in your suitcase, but better keep it as a hand baggage. The museum shall have the right to retain the materials, including photographs, made available by the owner without refunding any expenses, and furthermore to multiply and or publish such materials. Hey, they can use your material already with their own rights to publish. So they will not mention you, but they may put your stuff in a book in the future, and you have to agree to that. That's the price to pay. So that was chapter number 2. Article number 3 of that agreement. The museum shall be obliged to exercise reasonable care in its appraisal. Oh, that's good. I would think that's a good idea. But the museum does not guarantee that its judgment is correct. Okay, that's fair. Because I think it's good that they write this, because they have been in the past sometimes, very few times, but I mean it happened, told some owners of Van Gogh paintings that they were actually not from Van Gogh. So these owners, you had some cases like that. That's just what happened. I mean, science is going forward. Before there were some connoisseurs, they had already allergies when they saw some paintings coming back, so they had to say, again, this guy coming with the same painting. We already told him 20 years ago it's not the Van Gogh, now he's coming back again, and I'm still there, I'm not still on pension, So there was like some human factor also involved with these questions of accepting or not accepting a painting which has been refused. And they suddenly were becoming legitimate children of Vincent van Gogh, because the techniques and laboratories became more performant, and the connoisseurs got help from this side. So some cases were finally solved in favor of those who hoped that the artwork is Van Gogh. And the museum, being aware of some kind of potential responsibility, let's say somebody walks in the museum and shows a painting, and this painting is, in fact, it is Van Gogh, but who knows? And they say it's not. And then the guy walks out and just gets rid of it. He says, I don't want to see this thing anymore. Here, $50, I give it to you. And this guy, say, other guy is going back after 1 year to the Van Gogh Museum, and they say it's original and it's suddenly millions. I mean, that other person could feel like there was a problem, So they don't want to be getting involved. They don't want to get involved in kind of legal problems. And therefore, they must put that sentence, I repeat the sentence. The museum shall be obliged to exercise reasonable care. I don't know what is the definition of this. In fact, in its appraisal. But the museum does not guarantee that the judgment is correct. So, number 4, in case of any deficiency in its performance, the museum shall not be liable for any damage caused to the owner resulting therefrom, irrespective of the manner in which or the person by whom such damage was caused. My goodness, we are talking already damage now. Except in case of willfulness or gross negligence on the part of the museum. But what could that be? That could be that maybe when you send your artwork, that actually somebody switched by mistake the artworks on the table and the reference numbers and all, and then he would just send back the wrong answer to you, and you may get a heart attack and go to hospital, and then suddenly they will send a second letter and say, hey, wait, this was a mistake, your artwork is actually good, and you already actually and let's say you're in the hospital with your heart attack. It's just an example, and you would say, I got a heart attack because you send me such a bad letter. And then, okay, we are a little bit going away from the subject, but these are these kind of cases, people are now blaming companies for anything. I mean, there was a hair in my McDonald's sandwich. I want $1 million, you see that kind of world in which we are now. The people need to be hyper careful what they are writing and signing, So, number 5, the owner guarantees to the museum that he is the sole owner of the work, excluding other persons. Now that sometimes may be difficult, but don't worry, because the museum, of course, is always flexible. When they have like a family being the owner, they will understand. So, next chapter will be 6 and 7 and 8. Let's read these ones. So 6, 7, 8, where we have these. So 6, verbal pronouncements regarding the work made by the museum or its employees shall be void. So if you are like calling or get a phone call or even something which is like not on the street or whatever, whatever they say, if they say it's a good one and later you get a letter, it's not a good one, it's the letter which counts, not what somebody is talking over the phone or you misunderstood on the sidewalk. 7. The judgment is exclusively intended for the owner personally. The owner shall indemnify the museum and its employees against any claims from third parties on the museum and or its employees which are based on or are related to the judgment of the activities of the museum. Okay, I'm not a lawyer, I don't understand exactly, I just see that everything must be done, that the museum, for the service free of charge which you're asking, because you can well go somewhere else and try first to pay some expensive experts, they maybe help you much better, but the museum is working for free. It's not the business what they do. They are not living from appraisals. It's a service they provide to the world. They also hope maybe that sooner or later some authentic Vincent van Gogh artifacts are showing up again, and that people will first talk to them, of course, which is of course also nice for them because they can somehow a little bit start to get some start of a control about the item and the owner's intentions, what he's going to do next with the item. So that's why we have to be thankful for this generosity and aware that these people don't want to get in trouble with some people who make problems because they're not happy. 8. Dutch law shall be applicable, I think, to this agreement. Disputes shall be exclusively submitted to the competent court in Amsterdam. So you want to fight a court case? Okay, book your hotel. Agreed, drawn up in duplicate and signed. So you can see here that the space where is the Amsterdam Museum responsible person, some already mentioned in print below, or his representative is going to sign, is still free because they don't send signed contracts before they see your signature and that you approve that there are conditions. So you will have to send back this paper in 2 copies, fill it out and put 2 times your name. Whatever they ask you to fill in, you will understand what you have to do there, and send it back to them. And then you just need to wait. You will have to send that to the Van Gogh Museum, Postbus, PO Box, and I spoke already before about it. And then you wait. And then suddenly you will get a letter. Again, you will get a letter, and that letter is telling you that thank you for your okay, sometimes I have a little bit to look where these letters are. Thank you for the signed contracts and for returning them to us. Herewith, you will find 1 copy of the contract regarding your request for information, signed by whatever lady or man is in charge at that time in the museum for these kind of operations. A separate letter with the opinion of our curators will follow within 3 months. Yours sincerely, Department of Collection, Research and Presentation. This means that now you just have to wait. You have to maybe reply to some emails if they got your email address. In case there's some further question, you need to be a little bit having your ears open for such requests. And if there's anything coming, you should feel good about it, because normally when there's nothing coming, there will be 1 letter coming for sure. So let's imagine you have been waiting maybe 2 months, 3 months, and there's the letter. It arrived. Again, you will open it. You will maybe shake a little bit. Work of art. Dear Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so. My goodness. Duly observing the conditions stipulated in the letter of whenever you send that first time, and the agreement dated, whatever agreement you signed, I inform you of the following. We have studied the work of art in your possession based on the materials you have sent. In the opinion of the Van Gogh Museum, the work of art referred to is not to be ascribed to Vincent van Gogh. We trust that the above information meets your requirements. Yours sincerely. Oh my God, I'm ready to cry. What do you mean? Meets my requirements? Not at all. So there's a head of collections, research and presentation who is going to sign this. And then comes the little very nice chapter again, which leaves you all hope open, in this case, that our drawing is still maybe authentic from the childhood time of Vincent. Although in making the above mentioned examination, the Van Gogh Museum exercised reasonable care, it does not guarantee the correctness of its opinion. That's it. You got the opinion, but they may not be right. The Van Gogh Museum shall never be liable for any damage except in case of premeditated intention of recklessness on the part of the Van Gogh Museum. I think that never happened. Why should they do that? This result is solely intended for you personally. Third parties cannot derive any right therefrom. Okay. Dutch law is applicable. Disputes can only be submitted to the competent court in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Oh my, finally that word Netherlands appears in the mail. So I hope that this YouTube video may give you an idea what you have to do if you suspect anything which you with your eyes, trained or untrained eyes, think could be ascribed to Van Gogh. You don't have a big mountain to climb over. It's actually pretty straightforward. You see, first write that one letter, which I told you. Check the video again, step by step, and look at the screen, make screenshots, and then you can understand what you have to do next. Anything is possible to be done. You don't need any art gallery, any antique dealer. You can deal straight with the Van Gogh Museum. And now what happens if there is something they think is maybe a little bit like, who knows, let's go to look at that still life of flowers maybe you found there, which could be from the Paris period or something like that. These are the ones which they still look for. They may write to you, please hold on the painting and can we have a look at it in our own research laboratory. So you will have to organize that this artwork will reach them. I think you shouldn't put it in a mailbox. You should maybe just consider to travel and put it right into their hands. That would be a smart way to do it. If you are not 100% sure that this is really a Van Gogh, you can think that if they want to see it, my goodness, you can make some better photos. Maybe they will agree with you that you can also make maybe some better scan and who knows, download it on email, retransfer and whatever, to be sure that you will not travel for nothing and that they will not bother you for nothing. But if in this case that they ask you to show the artwork to their experts, you are already having, you are part of the minority of a couple percent of this 100% what they get, and 99 is nothing, okay, even less. So even more. And this is the second scenario. In this case, the letter will be, of course, formulated differently. I don't have a sample for this one. And in case that you get the letter like this one, like it's nothing, and you can consider your artwork as being done by somebody else, which doesn't mean it's a piece of trash. It may be just painted by Picasso, you know, why not? So you can try with them. And this scenario, which is now on the video, will mean that you can continue to believe that your artwork is something great and continue your research with other means. And it is never excluded that if you make a huge discovery concerning your artwork and something new appears, which could prove that there is a connection to the artist Vincent van Gogh, you may reapply and have it submitted again with the new elements which you discovered. Why not? You can do that. But you need to quote the first reference, of course, because they know already that they have seen your work, so you shouldn't try 2-3 times with different, hi, I'm new here, I'm coming here for the first time, that you shouldn't do that one. Okay, now I'm done. This is what I still wanted to tell you. Now, when you get that letter, it's like not to be ascribed. That's very short. When you ask them, hey, can I know for what reason? They have no time for this. Okay? I mean, my experience is that I was asking still one more time, could I know for what reason is my artwork not possibly ascribed to Vincent van Gogh? And they said, we're going to ask our laboratory guys, whatever, and that response never came. This is just too much for them. They are not responsible for other artists. They are not making an appraisal and saying, hey, that's not the Van Gogh, but hey, that's a Picasso, or that's I don't know, a Bonnard, or at least, or maybe a Schuffenegger or whatever. I mean, Schuffenegger, they would be more interested already to have a look at it. But they will not do free work for the whole number of artists of the 19th century. You can be sure. Even if your painting is old, it's not their responsibility. Whatever they will decide, they decide. If they decide that one sentence is enough to get rid of your request, that's the way it is. And you cannot blame anybody. You can continue to search new evidence for your artwork. You can study art history, go more deeper into the thing and find solutions yourself and try again. Not forget that there were artworks which had a serious connection to Vincent van Gogh, which have been many years put as fakes or imitations or wrong attributions, and which resurface, luckily, as genuine artworks by Vincent van Gogh. And it was the museum which approved after having disapproved. So there's never a total end for every